Star Trek: The Next Generation wasn't serialized, but tell to these Season 4 episodes. When Star Trek: The Next Generation TNG aired from 1987 to 1994, it was a product of its time, an era of television that leaned heavily on episodic storytelling. A self-contained adventure every week was the norm, especially for network syndication, which relied on the ability to air episodes out of order without confusing viewers. Gene Roddenberry himself was famously against long-form serialization, preferring stories that could reset the status quo by the time the credits rolled. But while TNG's structure wasn't anything like the serialized epics we expect from today's prestige TV, the show couldn't completely resist the gravitational pull of continuity. Some stories bled into the next, characters carried emotional baggage from one episode to another, and entire mini-arcs emerged across the season. Season 4, in particular, is a fascinating case study, a year of television that still played by episodic rules while quietly experimenting with serialized storytelling. Here are the Season 4 episodes that prove Star Trek: The Next Generation might not have been serialized on paper, but try telling that to the fans who followed these arcs week to week. 1. The Best of Both Worlds, Part 2, Episode 1, Family Episode 2. Season 4 begins not with a fresh adventure, but with the second half of TNG's most famous cliffhanger. The Best of Both Worlds, Part 2 resolves the Borg invasion storyline, but it's the episode that follows, Family, that makes the pairing feel like early serialization. Instead of diving straight into a new crisis, Family deals with the emotional fallout of Captain Picard's assimilation by the Borg. He returns to his home village in France to reconnect with his brother, wrestle with trauma, and try to reclaim his humanity. The Enterprise crew has no reset button here. The consequences of Best of Both Worlds linger, setting a tone that would ripple through the season. It's a rare example of TNG dedicating an entire follow-up episode to character consequences, something Deep Space Nine would later make a cornerstone of its storytelling. 2. Brothers Episode 3, Suddenly Human Episode 4, Remember Me Episode 5. On paper, these 3 episodes are standalone stories, a Data family drama, a diplomatic rescue mission, and a Beverly Crusher mystery. But watch them back to back, and you start to notice a subtle through line. The Enterprise's senior officers are each being tested in deeply personal ways. In Brothers, Data's programming is hijacked by his creator, Dr. Soong, forcing him to confront questions about family, loyalty, and his own autonomy. Suddenly, Human shifts focus to Captain Picard, who's forced to navigate the cultural complexities of a human teenager raised by an alien species. Then, Remember Me drops Dr. Crusher into a surreal, existential puzzle about the nature of reality. The connection isn't about plot continuity, it's thematic serialization. TNG's writers began the season by quietly exploring family and identity as unifying themes across different characters, almost as if the episodes were chapters in a novel. 3. Legacy Episode 6 and Reunion Episode 7. Here's where TNG's semi-serialization really starts to emerge. Legacy reintroduces us to the memory of the late Tasha Yar as the crew meets her sister, Ishara, in a morally complicated mission. It's a callback to earlier seasons that adds depth to both the deceased security chief and her former crewmates' lingering grief. Then comes Reunion, which advances Worf's long-running Klingon arc in dramatic fashion. His mate, Keller, returns, and their son, Alexander, is revealed for the first time. Klingon politics also take center stage, setting in motion the power struggle that would carry forward into multiple episodes and seasons. Both episodes build on past events, creating an ongoing sense of consequence. Reunion especially refuses to be self-contained. Worf's discommendation and family drama remain active plotlines for the rest of the show. 4. Future Imperfect Episode 8, Final Mission Episode 9. At first glance, this is another case of 2 unrelated stories airing back-to-back. But the real connective tissue here is emotional, specifically the way these episodes explore the future and legacy of the Enterprise crew. In Future Imperfect, Riker wakes up believing 16 years have passed, only to discover it's an elaborate deception. The episode toys with the audience's sense of what's real while also teasing possible futures for the characters. 1 week later in Final Mission, Wesley Crusher's time aboard the Enterprise comes to a poignant end as he prepares to leave for Starfleet Academy. While the plots aren't linked, the emotional through line, looking ahead, imagining change, and saying goodbye gives the episodes a subtle serialized resonance. It's the kind of soft continuity that would be impossible to appreciate if you watch them out of order. 5. The Wounded Episode 12, Data's Day Episode 11, Clues Episode 14. TNG wasn't afraid to let character relationships quietly develop over multiple episodes, and this cluster proves it. Data's Day is a slice-of-life episode showing a day aboard the Enterprise from the android's point of view. One of its subplots involves Chief O'Brien's wedding to Keiko, a personal moment that wouldn't feel as grounded without the series slowly building O'Brien's life over the years. The very next week, The Wounded shifts into a tense political thriller that introduces the Cardassians, planting seeds for Deep Space Nine. O'Brien plays a central role in the story, with personal history that fleshes him out far beyond his original transporter guy role. Then, in Clues, the crew's trust in Data is tested after a mysterious blackout. Watching these in sequence, O'Brien's expanded role, Data's evolving relationships, and the show's growing geopolitical complexity all interlace, exactly the kind of low-key serialization that would later be standard in Trek. 6. First Contact Episode 15, Galaxy's Child Episode 16, Night Terrors Episode 17. This stretch of Season 4 plays like a mini-arc about the Enterprise crew facing the unexpected in both diplomacy and science. In First Contact, Riker's undercover mission on an alien world goes awry, forcing Picard into delicate first contact negotiations. The fallout here subtly informs Galaxy's Child, where Geordi must navigate a very different kind of diplomacy, an awkward reunion with Dr. Leah Brahms. Finally, Night Terrors pushes the entire crew to their limits in a psychological endurance test against insomnia-inducing aliens. The tonal progression from political tension to personal awkwardness to outright paranoia gives this trio a serialized energy, even though each is technically a self-contained plot. 7. Identity Crisis Episode 18, The Drumhead Episode 21. If you want an example of serialized character development hiding in plain sight, look no further than this stretch. In Identity Crisis, Geordi fights to retain his humanity as a mysterious transformation overtakes him. His friendships and crewmate loyalty play a big role in the resolution. Just a few episodes later in The Drumhead, those same relationships are tested in a very different context, a shipboard witch hunt for supposed traitors. Both episodes revolve around questions of trust, loyalty, and identity, with familiar character bonds acting as the through line. It's not that one plot sets up the other, it's that they build on the same emotional and moral foundations, giving the season a quietly serialized feel. 8. Redemption, Part I, Episode 26, and the season-long Klingon story. Season 4 closes by leaning fully into serialization with Redemption Part I, the first half of a two-part cliffhanger that arc, seeded way back in Sins of the Father Season 3 and